Certainly the fact that a school these days might have 8 valedictorians, might have no chance to fail on an exam, might structure so many of the traditional mechanisms that we have had to foster excellence. Certainly those kinds of things are a testament to the prevalence of the notion that you can't have too much self-esteem and that you should in no way do anything that might diminish it. This is I mean, you can have too much cherry pie too. There isn't anything that you can't have too much of, okay? And once again, the whole notion behind the fact that you couldn't have too much of it was this misguided and now empirically debunked notion rising out of classical psychology, traditional psychology, that whenever you did see what appeared to be on the surface excessive self-valuation, that it was always necessarily a compensation for underlying feelings of inferiority. If that were true, then the notion that you can never have too much self-esteem would make perfect sense. Problem? It's not true. It never was true. In some cases, it can be somewhat true, but we are talking about a phenomenon that occurred in a different time, in a different place, in an entirely different cultural atmosphere, that it's so hard for even us to conceptualize how repressed people were in that era, especially women who were the main clients upon which the theories were built. And so that's the whole point. That's really the whole point of taking a look at character and character formation. We can be more than animals, but it takes an awful lot of work. Civilization is a process. And so many times, unfortunately, it's what folks don't get. I'll tell you one thing they don't get. We talked about the difference between self-esteem and self-respect a while back. One of the things that folks get absolutely no credit for and no reinforcement for is the value of their sweat. For the right exercise of the will that they have, the free will that they have. We're going to talk about this because there's some debate about whether or not we are really creatures that have free will, or whether everything's pretty well determined by our genes, our programming, our environment, et cetera, et cetera. You know, that's a big debate. But the fact is, when people choose to do the right in the face of the wrong, they don't get very much for it. One way to really blow somebody's head out of shape is to do what we frequently do, and that is to give them praise and credit for all the stuff they can't really take credit for, like how smart they are, how good they look, how talented they are, all these gifts of nature or gifts of God, however you want to see them. Even sometimes parents and teachers do this with children to manipulate their favor. They'll stroke them in this way. And the kids just get all full of it. Like they can really claim credit for it. This is a great way to bend somebody's head out of shape. What we rarely do, however, is we rarely take the time and the effort to stroke somebody for doing the tough thing when they could have done the easy thing or they could have done the wrong thing. We rarely do that. And I'm going to talk about that more when we talk about that character development issue and that commandment of character development.